PixelSift is proudly supported by Murdoch University School of Arts. Look, if you're interested in creating something, then maybe you should consider a degree from Murdoch University. It's designed in consultation with the industry and with business, so that the Bachelor of Creative Media allows you to specialise in a number of fields, including sound and graphic design, games, or combine bits and pieces to make a super ultra mega deluxe mega degree. You can use these cross-disciplinary skills to make something cool and get the skills you need to be ready for the workforce. Search Murdoch University and head to the website for more information. Murdoch University School of Arts, proudly supporting PixelSift. Hello and welcome to episode 90 of PixelSift. It's a nice milestone, isn't it, Mitch, to reach that point?
It is great. I like it a lot.
It's been a long journey.
It's a nice round number. I can put it on my resume.
Do you know what's even better than 90?
What?
Episode 100, which we are racing up to right now.
Yeah.
But 90 is a fantastic episode because this week we are joined by Nico King. He's the creative director at Chaos Theory Games, and he's going to be telling us all about the game that we checked a little bit out at PAX Australia, and that game is called Rainbow Reef. Nico, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We'll dig into why you made this game and what sort of inspires you. But what else are we checking out today, Mitch?
Yeah, so Facebook is wanting to cash in on the lucrative world of professional game streaming. So yeah, they have a lot of plans, and we'll try and figure out what exactly they mean.
We will. We'll dig into it. But
You're not happy, are you?
Well, we'll hear all about that in right now, shall we?
You have the face.
The face?
Yeah.
Let's jump in, shall we?
Watch episodes, Let's Plays and more at youtube.com/PixelSiftAU.
So Facebook wants to make itself one of the prime platforms for game streaming, and to attract those particular content creators, they have come up with a pilot program that provides tools and incentives that make monetizing content easier.
Yes, they have. So basically the idea is that in the kind of, I guess sort of the wake or the fallout from some stuff that you may have seen with YouTube recently, YouTube has been changing the way that its sort of monetization and its platform works, and has sort of limited the reach of people who are, you know, in a smaller range. So unless you're a PewDiePie,
yeah,
or a Jacksepticeye or whoever,
or a
PixelSift, maybe. Yeah, then you have a limited amount of sort of ways to make money from the content that you have, and also there's sort of like a very sort of inconsistent way that they have been sort of applying moderation as well. Partially, this is because there's been that, you know, we've had a couple of big scandals out of YouTube, but anyway, Facebook has come in. It's going to save the day, and they've set up a new program which is called the what is it called? It
is the pilot program.
Pilot program for gaming streamers, and it's geared specifically towards them, and it introduces them to have a platform for them to kind of share their games. It's similar to the sort of partnership.
Well, not really share their games. It's like share their
content.
Their content.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So similar to that sort of way, they want to basically have it so that people move from their from the other platforms that they may be on onto Facebook as a primary platform. So this comes in sort of the wake of a sort of a controversial move that was causing basically, you know, a big drop. So the ESL, which is one of the premier sort of esports leagues out there, had the rights to share out some of the Dota 2 tournaments. They were the broadcasters for it and the major partners. And earlier they signed...
they had the exclusive
rights to stream the ESL tournaments, the esport tournaments for Dota 2 on Facebook as a primary platform, which is kind of got a bit of confusion when people first started, but they were saying that as it kind of came in, the audiences dropped from, you know, in the hundreds of thousands of people watching live to the low tens of thousands as the platform kind of came across. Some of the limitations of that, of course, is that you couldn't watch the video unless you were logged into Facebook.
Yep.
Whether on Twitch or on YouTube, you can just visit the link and you're able to watch it live.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened from that was some people inside Dota 2, you may not be aware, but they have a mode called Dota TV where you can basically use your game client to create to watch the games in the game client.
Yeah, Overwatch is something similar now.
Yes.
Actually, yeah.
So you can basically use that, and people were using that to stream the in-game Dota TV client to Twitch, and people on Twitch were having a much bigger audience than the people watching on Facebook. So it kind of all came out that...
And the DMCAs were prompt and swift and harsh.
So the ESL sent out the DMCA takedown requests, and then Valve had to kind of step in. Yeah. And so that was pretty much most people's introduction to Facebook as a game streaming platform. It wasn't a great one, but it seems like they're now trying to get into that game a bit more. So... Tell us a little bit more about, what's happening in that thing. What do you think about this? Nico, I'm interested in what you think about Facebook as a platform and whether or not you would be, thinking about using that as a way to share out your content as a game developer.
Sure. I think it shows huge potential. I think that Facebook as a platform has a lot of users who don't typically use Twitch. Mm-hmm. Develop a lot of mobile games, so we have the potential to maybe access a market that is richer in casual game players. Eventually, we would like to move into PC and console games, and I think the competition between Twitch and Facebook could be a really good thing. I think that Facebook are offering new tools, or they're saying that they're going to be offering new tools to streamers, and the only way that we're going to get new, better tools for streamers is if there's other competitors in the market.
What I think is really interesting about this is Facebook as... it seems like there's lots of different little camps that are living within Facebook, but they've actually just said that anyone who's got kind of like a platform or a news outlet, their content now is actually going to be really deprioritized and appearing in the news feed. So major news networks are now thinking of other ways to get to their audience. And I've heard on a number of podcasts, actually, people have said, if you want to get the best news from us, come to our website first rather than that. So I'm wondering how that's going to play out. I think
you've said that a couple of times, Yanni.
Well, no, I hear it on different podcasts as well. But, that's the thing, is that the people are saying come away from Facebook as a primary source for news.
And they've done this to themselves, because they just post their the articles that just have the most wow, clickbait, I guess, for lack of a better term. And it's just people are used to seeing that kind of thing on Facebook, and they're not used to actually useful information on Facebook anymore. It's just what did Lad Bible say this week? It's oh great, the thing I saw on Reddit 5 hours ago. All right, nice, move on.
So, Nico, you're confident that there might be...
I would like to see a different company other than Facebook entering the market. I think that Facebook has a lot of power, and it has the ability to sign these exclusive deals, which could potentially be a negative impact on the community. Just like what's happened now, they've signed an exclusive deal, and that has led to a negative response from the community, and that's kind of breeding toxicity just around the whole live streaming community. So yeah, I would like to see a different company, but it's good that there is that competition there.
It is definitely interesting because, I guess one thing that I know is that Facebook, for me, in my usage of it, has really dropped, and the sort of stuff that I see on there is really not aligned with the stuff that I go to look for fun and entertainment. I go to other platforms now, and I'm wondering, in the same way that we talk about esports actually being on real television, whether or not people are actually going to be there and wanting to watch gaming content or live stream content on Facebook as a platform.
I definitely think they're looking to grow. That's kind of Facebook's business model. And I totally agree that we're using Facebook as much as I used to. I think that it's becoming more watered down. There's just a lot of content out there. And I don't know if they can fix that, but I definitely agree, going other places for my content personally.
It's going to be very interesting to see how it kind of strikes out. Look, I think from our perspective, and
I want me to share my perspective.
Tell us your perspective.
I watch you begrudgingly post our promos and things on Facebook every week, and I can see it on your face. You don't like it.
It's the way that the algorithm works means that the content that you put out there and the stuff that we've been doing, I think we are pretty much within that exact audience that they want, and it just doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
We have, unless it's extremely geared towards sponsored posts, and you put it out there, and 20 people see it when you've got hundreds of people on your page who follow it. And, as a platform, I can put something on Twitch immediately and people get a notification on their phone and it pops up and they can watch straight away. Or I can put something on YouTube and people get notifications as it goes live. Or even on Twitter directly, if we stream directly to Twitter, people can watch there straight away as well. So,
Again, I think this might be an issue with their business model of continual growth and trying to monetize every single aspect of their platform. They're not leaving space for smaller companies and media outlets to reach their audience. They're only giving that voice to the larger entities, which is another reason I'm kind of hesitant about them entering the streaming market.
What I wonder as well is that if you are one of these larger entities that's out, generally you've got the nuts and bolts infrastructure that actually allows you to have your own platform entirely. And why would you be pushing your content to Facebook when, we've seen limited growth and they've talked about reducing that amount of content for people? It seems like a bit of a like a mismatch, or like, the two parts of Facebook haven't talked to each other or something to that effect. So it'll be very interesting to see how that one kind of shakes out.
At this point, I'm not really sure how they can solve the problem, because now people expect this kind of thing from Facebook. I think maybe Facebook's general audience is going to find Facebook pretty dull now without all these brightly colored posts and like ridiculous titles. I think that they're going to maybe find it a bit dull, and they might end up leaving just because of that and going somewhere else to find that stuff, because that's where they go for essentially garbage now.
Well, it's even interesting what you said, Nico, as well, because I remember Facebook used to be a massive social gaming platform. And in the Farmville days and Pirates versus Ninjas days or whatever it was, like people used to use it hugely for games, but that has been massively deprioritized. And I think part of that was because people moved it onto their phones and went from there. But I just wonder if like that audience that you had that were captured by this and were coming back to Facebook because they wanted to check their crops or whatever, they may be gone now, and Words with Friends, for example, was big on Facebook, and then that moved on to an app. And then, how do you play that now?
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. I never see any sort of notifications around gaming or friends playing games on Facebook, and I think that's kind of a disappointment. A lot of what we do at Chaos Theory is client services, so contract work for other companies, and we're always trying to pitch social gaming, but it's just not that easy on Facebook, and there aren't a whole lot of metrics that we have access to kind of support our pitches and everything. So maybe a new social gaming platform should pop up, like online kind of Facebook, but just for games. I'd love that. But currently we don't have for Facebook gaming.
What would you sort of suggest in that sort of circumstance? I wonder, as a developer who is pitching that sort of social angle.
Can you clarify? Is it like, do you want me to explain the kind of games that would make or the benefits?
Like, would you say, we're going to link into Twitter, for example, instead, and people can send a tweet to themselves, or how do you do it? Or do you say we're going to build the social networking aspect into the platform itself?
I think having social networking components in a game is kind of a given, and it's very, very easy now. See is more like a platform where people can go and share these games and experience them together. I mean, Twitch is quite a lot like that, but a way in which they can collaborate and maybe jump between different games. Google Play is a similar system of having a single you take between your games, and you can earn badges and things. But I'd really like to see that more integrated into a platform, so you can kind of take experience and objects between two different games.
I think Limbot.
Just look at Limbot's comment. I love Limbot's comment. If they could bring the community there, that is where we'd end up. But I hate having to go there.
Look, I
think that's awesome.
Nailed it, Limbot. And look, I guess we'll see what happens. Maybe Facebook's going to be great, but this will be one that we follow a little bit down the track, shall we?
Thanks for watching, Limbot.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Let's jump into...
I couldn't have put it better myself.
Nailed it. Let's jump into our next topic, shall we?
Visit us on pixelsift.com.au.
If you're just joining us, we are joined by Nico King. He is the creative director at Chaos Theory Games. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about a game that we saw a little bit of at PAX Australia last year. The game we're talking about is Rainbow Reef. Now, Nico, if people didn't get a chance to check it out, what is it all about?
Sure. So Rainbow Reef is a coral reef building simulation management game for mobile devices where you create an underwater environment, grow various kinds of corals, and attract different kinds of sea creatures. So it's all about trying to create a diverse ecosystem and customize the underwater garden to express yourself. It's heavily influenced by reality and the way that a real coral reef works. Mm-hmm. So we're hoping through this game to inspire people to more about what's happening on the coral reef or the Great Barrier Reef.
And when you talk about reality and stuff, what sort of stuff are you kind of incorporating into your game, and how does that sort of change the way that you have designed it?
So the is based on how the animals or the corals work in real life, or how they grow or how they interact. Symbiosis between different species that have been pulled into the game. So octopus eat crabs, so you need to have crabs in your reef to attract octopus. And the various kinds of corals, such as anemones, attract clownfish. That's one component. Another component is the threats in the game. So the major obstacle to you building the best reef are all the threats to a Great Barrier Reef. So that's crown of thorn starfish or algal bloom or coral bleaching. So these are obstacles that the player has to overcome in order to maintain their reef and animals. Oh, and also kind of bios on every single creature in the game. Mm-hmm. And we're going to include endangered status of all of them and just a little blurb about how they're doing in the real world, so people can, if they do really care about, they can look into kind of how they're doing in real life.
How does it when you talk about it's kind of linking in and all that sort of stuff. Now, is that something you're interested in sort of leaning into? So say, for example, if someone wants to, find out more about a clownfish in particular, would you have something in there that someone could go and learn more about it? Or would you want to partner up with an ocean or reef protection charity or give them some information? Like, is that something that you've considered in the design of the game?
That's something that's on the cards. We're currently in late stages of talking to negotiating with a publisher who's signing on for the project, and partnering with a marine charity organization is one of the kind of core focuses. So they will provide certain information that we can link out to. So yeah, definitely really excited about that.
So have you got a slow scale global warming, just you eventually going to get to the end of the reef and that's it timer in there, or is there a way that you can kind of keep playing?
So not currently. That's one of the design choices that I really wanted to make, but it kind of puts a very short timeline on the game, unfortunately. So yeah, the way that we wanted to make it was to pull live data from the reef, so that the in-game events are all driven by live data. So if there's a coral bleaching event on the Great Barrier Reef, all of the players, all of the users are going to get coral bleaching events. So this will start a conversation around coral bleaching and what's happening in the reef at the moment. And yeah, just inspire people to actually take an interest. The only problem with that is that, yeah, it really puts a definitive timeline on the game, which might be shorter than we would actually like. So it's a double-edged sword of, it would be very, very good, but also, yeah, unpredictable.
You placed a lot of emphasis on like a lot of information being presented to the player in the game. Did you have to consult a lot of experts for this, or did you just find your information on the net or that kind of thing?
So all the information isn't exactly presented to the player. The player has to go looking for it. So there's
Right.
like the Aquapedia, so an encyclopedia of the game, where you can dig down and by reading about these animals, you discover facts about them that help you in the real game. So you don't need to know anything about marine biology to play the game. It's just those sort of facts will help you get there faster and be more productive. In terms of consulting with experts, it started out as just a passion project. I used to keep a saltwater aquarium, and I did a lot of research about different kinds of creatures and corals and breeding them and moon cycles and everything. So most of the core game was all designed from my kind of passion and my love of coral reefs. And yeah, the rest of the team has since become very, very passionate about coral reefs and contributed a lot of the other facts.
You describe it as a sort of a passion project, and I know that a lot of what you do as a studio is actually do work for clients. Can you kind of describe how that kind of works and what's the difference between making a project for yourself or working on something for someone else?
Sure. So when we started out with Chaos Theory Games, the dream was always to make our own games, to create our own passion projects 24/7. And we did that for a few years, but it wasn't profitable. And to sort of stay in business, we decided to sort of pivot and shift to more client services. And I still love what I do every single day. We get to work on some really amazing projects. Our skill set is sort of complementary for augmented reality and virtual reality. So working on some very fringe kind of technology projects, which is awesome. I really enjoy doing that. And those skills that we learn translate back into our own work and our own passion projects. So I think it's also a very pleasant journey along the way. It's stressful at times trying to hunt down new contracts and keep the studio afloat. But a little bit of stress is always good to keep you on your toes.
So if you were in a position where Rainbow Reef becomes a worldwide blockbuster, is the commercial aspect something that you'd want to continue into the future? Is it something that you find really valuable to keep in your stable of works?
Definitely. One of our visions as Chaos Theory is to create games that inspire social change on a sort of large scale. So Rainbow Reef is the perfect example of that sort of project. Making a positive impact and making society improve. So I think that the commercial aspect of Rainbow Reef and all of our projects has to get factored into that. I mean, you can create one project that's amazing, or you can create 100 projects that are really good. So yeah, having the mentality of this isn't the be all and end all, this isn't the very last project we're ever going to work on. This has to set us up to work on the next one.
So we talked to you a little bit at PAX Australia. It was relatively early on in the piece when we spoke to you. How did the I guess the punters react to the game as you were showing it on the floor there?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, every time you get to put your game in somebody else's hands and watch them play it is always a magical experience, because you spend so long kind of at your computer thinking about things and testing and fixing bugs and whatnot. And you play it, well, we play it so much that we kind of play it to death, I guess would be the right expression. So seeing people light up and get excited and talk about how cute the animals are and everything, it makes you feel like it's all worth it. It makes you feel like what you're doing is going to make a difference. And it's just a huge boost to our morale. Yeah,
I spent a good deal amount of time playing it, and I thought I was only there for like 3 minutes, and then I was like, oh, suddenly it's 10 minutes later, and I was like, I'm still on it.
You were like, Mitch, we've got to go. We've got to go edit this video that we just shot.
And then it kind of made me feel like StarCraft in a way, because there was a clear tech tree that I needed to achieve, and I needed specific things to get other specific elements of the game, and it did feel a bit like that. And I liked it a lot. And I didn't expect to like it a lot because it just didn't really seem like something that would really get me. But yeah, no,
Why,
it was
why
awesome.
do you hate the ocean, Mitch? Tell us about your deep, dark secrets of why coral reefs are bad.
It is no secret that I kind of don't like the ocean, but I do like the game. It's very good.
Now, for people who is this game for? Like, who would you think would get a kick out of this game, Nico, and who are you kind of pitching it towards?
I think 12 or 13 years plus. And the really core demographic is 14 to 24-year-old. Just because it doesn't matter the sort of the understanding that you have to have of the mechanics requires you to be a certain age, and then the amount of free time and passion and ability to take on new ideas it makes it ideal for the 14 to 24-year-old kind of age range, because those are the people that can really get passionate about a cause and really devote a lot of time and attention to this one thing. We've seen all sorts of ages enjoying it at PAX. We saw kids that were 5 or 6 really getting to grips with it and understanding how everything worked. And we also saw sort of 60-year-old grandmas coming along and checking it out and really enjoying it. So it's by no means restrictive to one creed. I'd say that people who enjoy animals and the environment and nature are much more the target audience rather than a specific age. But yeah, that age range kind of makes them more receptive to it.
Yeah, I have a question here from a Twitch user, a Shy Guy. How difficult is it to balance the elements about the game, such as coral bleaching and invasive species?
Balancing is always pretty tricky. During the design phase, you sort of the logic of how is a person going to be progressing through this, what experience do I want to induce, and what are the interactions that they would have that would induce that experience. But it's never right the first time, so it just tends to be a lot of testing, a lot of feedback, a lot of iteration. So it's not difficult. There's just a process that you have to follow to get it right, and it'll never be right for everybody. You just kind of have to have the full balance.
We've got another question here from Limbot. Is the game going to have an education mode? I think Assassin's Creed is probably the one that most people are thinking of now as having an education-specific mode. But is that something that you have thought about, or is the game itself going to be that vehicle for the education?
Limbot stole my next question. I was going to ask that.
Limbot is on it.
Sure. It's definitely something we've considered. It's not something that we are currently pursuing because our view of game design has always been to inspire people to educate themselves. So by putting the information there and by inspiring people to dive into it, you have a much more powerful reaction, and the is retained much better. We have been in talks about doing a version for schools. It's just down the line we'd probably need to find somebody who had a market that wanted to integrate it into.
Now, if people want to find a bit more about the game, I know we're still in the sort of early stages of it and we're waiting on a bit more information, but if people want to find out more about it, where should they head to?
Sure. So rainbowreef.co. You can sign up for the mailing list there, or you can follow us on Facebook, Chaos Theory Games. We are hoping to have the publisher sign off really soon. So as soon as that happens, we'll have quite a large update to post and tell everybody about all the new features and what to expect and some timelines and everything.
And, you can also find all the links to everything as well on the PixelSift website, which is pixelsift.com.au. Nico, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We have kind of reached the end of the episode, and it's been really interesting. And it's been one of those games that I really have kept thinking about since we've been at PAX, because I really love this idea of, using a fun educational tool that it's just good and fun to play, but you kind of have education by stealth, and you kind of
it doesn't skimp on gameplay.
And it really, I think I mentioned that, I think it really ticks that sort of Viva Pinata Insane Aquarium vibe, which I played a lot of Viva Pinata. So that's something that...
Well, thank you very much for having me, and glad to know that you're still thinking about it.
Yeah,
we might make a marine biologist of you yet.
Oh, here we go. That's the dream. I'll be out in the ocean and Mitch will be like, no, not for me.
Yeah,
so
I'll stay
firmly
on the
ground. That's pretty much all we've got time for today. So thank you very much for tuning in and asking all those great questions for Nico. As we said, we'll be sticking all the links up on our website, pixelsift.com.au. Now, Mitch, we've got a special announcement for people who may use a particular platform that we have just been accepted into.
Yeah, after last week's show, we found out that we were finally on Spotify.
So if you listen to Spotify and you're switching between your hot hits or whatever, fresh mix of 1997, you can now listen to Pixel Sift. Every episode will be up there on Spotify as well. So.
You meant to make it sound cool, Johnny.
What do the youth listen to these days?
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
They're all playing games about aquariums and
Spice Girls all the way.
And coral reefs.
Yeah, listen to some Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. I think that's a topical reference.
Oh, man. Anyway, it is actually cool that it's on Spotify. It's a lot cooler than Johnny's making it sound.
So you can find us exactly where you would listen to all the cool music. And there's also a bunch of other great podcasts on there as well. So subscribe on there. We are on a number of different platforms as well. So you can watch us on Twitch, on YouTube, on Periscope, and on Twitter, or you can watch us on Mixer as well. We have a bunch of older episodes you can catch up on, which is over on all of our channels, or you can head to our website where you'll also find we're starting to put more articles up there as well, with a whole bunch of different bits and pieces. So that's pixelsift.com.au. It's been a fantastic time. Thank you very much for joining us, Nico. We really appreciate it, and we're excited to learn more about the game as we go along. And we will catch everyone again this time next week.
Yep, go check out Rainbow Reef.
Definitely check it out. Thanks, Nico.
Thank you.
Bye.